What is intellectual property? And why do I care is something that I get asked all the time. After I finish explaining what intellectual property is, a lot of people just right away they say, hey, I've got ideas, but I don't have any intellectual property. So intellectual property is more than ideas. Intellectual property is trademarks, copyrights, trade secrets, and patents. Most people have heard of patents, but just an idea by itself is not a patent, is not a trademark, is not a copyright. Your ideas might be secrets, so you need to keep them secret until you can figure out what they are. So why do you care? Because companies' values, projects' values, inventions' values are in that intellectual property. Most companies in the US and the EU have almost half of their value. So if you look at something like Coca-Cola, their market value is $100 billion. But then if you looked on their actual hard assets on their balance sheet, what they actually have paid for, owned, sitting right there on their balance sheet, that's about 40 billion. That difference is their brand, their trademarks, their goodwill, their intangibles. It's their intellectual property. So that's why you should care about intellectual property, because it is very, very valuable. So what you need to do is you need to figure out what your intellectual property is so you don't lose it. We have lots of examples of people toiling away. You might work for company X, and on the side you're coming up with this great idea, this great invention, only to find out later, oh wait, I don't own that. I actually signed an employment contract with company X that said that anything that I invented, they owned. So people will lose their intellectual property if they don't understand what it is. And so you need to care because you don't want to lose something that you work for a couple of years on. The other side is you need to know what intellectual property is because you might be accidentally infringing on someone else's intellectual property. For example, you create a crowdfunding campaign, you go out and you grab a song off the internet and you've put it in the background of your video. Cool video. Potential infringement suit. And if you grab clips from movies, for those of you who watch right at the end, there is a basic warning that tells you that a copyright violation, if you're charged, is $250,000 a violation. Nobody wants to do that. So you need to make sure that you understand intellectual property, because it's not just Apple and Samsung who are arguing over this. It's in everybody's business. So make sure that you know what intellectual property is and get informed so that you can keep your company's value.